This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with Violent Gentlemen. We're glad to say we've caught up with Big Bang, Pierce O'Leary. How are you, mate?
How's things? All good?
All's fantastic. It's raining in Belfast. We're obviously 9 days out from the field card. So obviously all the hard work's going on and preparing probably our first show in Belfast in 18 months. So nerves are kicking in. Obviously haven't been to a show in 18 months now. So I probably forgot what boxing's been like.
For me, it hasn't really changed much. Only without crowds, that was it.
Yeah, nothing sort of changed for you at all. We'll sort of going to do a wee bit of that, during the interview, but it's not really changed for you at all. So just life is normal, happy, smiling, and just looking to do the best you can. I guess that's probably the gloss of sort of what it's been for you so far.
That's it. Yeah,
you're a proud Irishman that just wants to do the very best he can, and will take any opportunity when it comes.
Exactly, that's it. You got to stay ready.
Definitely is. I know obviously you've got a second session of the way, obviously now just after 4, so obviously I'd love to keep you on for about 2 hours, but obviously I know time's against us today. So sort of kicking right off with anybody we sort of do when we first bring them on, I look more to the amateur side of boxing sometimes, and people's going to look to you as an inspiration in the sport, so obviously it's good for them to hear your backstory. What age did you start out boxing and why? Now, be honest with this question, because I know whenever you first started boxing, you told a wee white lie in your age.
Yeah, that's right. I joined boxing when I was 7, and I lied about my age saying I was 10, because that's when you could only join. And when I was 10, then I think I was 10 for about 3 years.
It's the things you have to do. Like, what was it? Was there anybody else in the family involved in boxing, or was it just something that you just wanted?
Just where I come from. It's a small, not small, but it's a big community, and boxing, football, every other sport is there, and a lot of my pals, and we always hung around with older people, so they were all involved in boxing, and that's where I ended up. Like, after tried another few sports, but when I went to boxing, that was it. Then I never looked back, really.
What other sports did you get involved in as a youngster then?
Played a bit of ball. What else? I rode. I had a few motocross bikes as well, and that was really it. That was really just more so what everyone else done, But when I kind of joined boxing, I didn't really choose it. It chose me. It just picked me at the right time, and I just stuck to it, and that was it. I never went anywhere else. I quit every other sport and just focused on boxing because I really enjoyed it.
It's sometimes, like sometimes family maybe have an influence in it, and for self-defense, obviously, I know growing up in Dublin and things, pretty much the same as in Belfast and stuff like that. It's being able to defend yourself. There's obviously young kids go about trying to bully people, so obviously being involved in a sort of fighting aspect, it's being able to defend yourself. But I guess it's the need for playing a sport that obviously is so dangerous. Obviously motocross as well have been dangerous as well, but in a sport where you're getting punched, it's where the sort of crossfires in the brain going, I actually enjoy this.
Yeah, I don't know, it's free. You feel free when you're training and you're in the gym, and I don't know, it's adrenaline rush for me. Even when I find out I'm sparring, I don't sleep the night beforehand because I do so excited.
Just the fact that it's mastering a trade of hit and don't get hit. You couldn't fight in school because you get detention or suspended, or you couldn't fight in the street because you get lifted from the police. So if you do it in the ring, you punch someone, don't get hit back, you get away with it, and you have the thrill of it.
That's it, exactly. Yeah, that's it. But at the same time as well, even when I was growing up or whatever like that, I wouldn't let anyone back me up against the wall or that. I'd always stand my ground and get my respect then.
So your first sort of fight then, did you say was 10? So you sort of probably bought about 8 years of amateur fighting. 9 times Irish champion. Obviously in the European Championships in 2016, and you lost out the last quarterfinals. You lost out obviously to the eventual winner. So like looking at your amateur career, when you see 9 times Irish champion in particular, obviously excelled in the sport. just sort of, did you seem to take amateur boxing so easy, or was it not as easy as sort of it would look on paper?
I worked hard for it. It wasn't easy. I worked hard for it. I put all the time and effort in. There's a lot of stuff I missed out on, and a lot of time that I can't get back. But I wouldn't say it was easy or anything like that, because all the work was put in behind the scene that no one really sees. So they only see you winning. So yeah, it's more so of time development than it was.
Yeah, but sort of exercising the craft, sort of being a sponge and taking it all in and developing, and you develop very well. Probably it seems to be now a thing where a lot of, boxers in general sort of seem to sort of go away from. I know we're obviously in the middle of the Olympics and stuff at the moment, but was it ever a dream for you to fight in the Olympics, or did you sort of always feel suited to going pro?
I always wanted to go pro. Even when I was an amateur, I always watched pro fights. Never really watched amateur fights. Never really took attention to it or anything like that. It was always a professional game. The old school fighters, and even back then, that generation like Mayweather and stuff, they were the ones I was looking out for, and I was studying.
And like, you know, I'm sure obviously in the younger days, probably like even fans of the sort of sport sometimes will think when you turn pro, you're going, oh, big money. But it obviously, as you're seeing now, is coming through your development in boxing, is going, where is the money? You know, you sort of have to go, you sort of have to run through every sort of puddle there is in the hope, you know, a lot of hard work to get to that stage.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way it is. That's why I look at it that way as well. Like the way we look at it, I'm in towards year of a trade. That's the way we look at it as an apprentice. So I just keep on learning, keep on developing, and the big money fights will come soon enough.
And hopefully the sooner they come, the better.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You're actually coming up now 2 years as a pro. You signed with MTK on the 2nd of August 2019. 7-0 obviously so far with 3 knockouts. Could you probably imagine that, you know, when you probably look back on it now with the pandemic and everything else we've had, and you've still had 7 fights, how would you assess it sort of so far? Have you been happy with the development? Would you have loved more fights? Obviously, if the pandemic obviously didn't have happened, you would have probably had more.
Yeah, if the pandemic, if it didn't happen, we probably wouldn't be. Most fighters wouldn't be ranked where they are now at the minute, because you would have to take fights what they wouldn't have taken in the before the pandemic, like or anything like that. You know, a lot of people would be still fighting journeyman and stuff like that, and learning the trade a little longer. But with the pandemic, it kind of rushed it a little bit more. It pushed to that 2 years extra, you know. So with me now in England, like, it's been training hard. We've been under Al and Ed and Paul, and in the iBox gym in London, and I'm just developing constantly all the time.
And is it sort of in a good way, sort of with the pandemic happening, it's sort of sped up the process a bit to show that you're ready for the next stage rather than being?
Yeah, well, pretty much that's where it would be, pretty much, yeah.
And I say it's I guess it's sort of, that's what obviously you have MTK and obviously everybody in the iBox gym for, is to make sure that you don't get sort of rushed too soon, even though you have the ability and everything to step up. Let's say you're a hot prospect, you know, it's taking the steps at the right time so that you learn along the way at the same time. And, you know, the next thing they go on, Pierce fighting for a world title, and you're going, what's going on? You know, you want to be, you want the sort of the stabilizers gradually coming off rather than just take the stabilizers off and going, right, start running.
Yeah, well, that, like, it's not, even though you have the capability of beating that kind of prospect in front of you or whatever, it's who you're going to fight after him when you beat him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, who's next then? Do you know what I mean? If you're another big step up, where are you ready for that step up yet? But it's all learning. It's all about having the right team around you, and just keep on ticking away, keep on training hard and developing.
Everybody would love to do like a sort of Lomachenko approach. Obviously, I think when Lomachenko was obviously the same record as yourself as a pro, I think he was a.
Lomachenko, he had no time on his hands, so he had no choice really.
Yeah.
Right?
Whereas, but obviously, I think he had like 397 amateur fights, and obviously was double Olympic champion and stuff like that. So he was able to rush. Whereas with you yourself, you're going, I can't look at people like Lomachenko.
And even when he did rush, he lost his fight. He lost. You know, so You just got to be smart with the right with the timing.
How did the sort of deal with MTK come about then? Was it sort of you approached them? Was it them approached you? Was there any other offers on the table?
Yeah, there was. Talks were going to America, and then especially being 19 years. So yeah, it was. It was only 19 after the European Championships, and the plan was to go to California, and obviously me going to California would have been on my own. Then I was just like, you know, it might be better, but will I like it? So I'd rather so I stayed home here, kept shopping around and see what's the best, and then MTK was the ones that was putting on the great show, so that's who I went with.
Yeah, but it's sort of, not that we're sort of bumming MTK up in any way, but when you look at the pedigree of what they've done the last few years, they're putting shows before the pandemic, they were doing a show every week, and that's what you want. You want to be having opportunities to get as many fights as you want.
Yeah, that's the goal, isn't it? Get as many fights you want, keep learning, keep developing.
I keep thinking of Sean McComan. He turned over, I think he had eight or nine fights probably. I think 8 fights in his first 12 months. And obviously the pandemic probably hadn't hit, you would have probably been similar.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, definitely.
And obviously builds a name and stuff as well. Always like to ask this question as well around nicknames. Big Bang is obviously the clue in the fact that you're a big puncher. Or what is a Big Bang all about?
Do you know what? I don't actually know, to be honest. It was just an next door neighbour called me that one time when you went to a fight, and he was a massive big boxing fan. And I don't know whether I actually got the stoppage or not, but I think I actually did get the stoppage in that fight where he was there. And that was it. As soon as he said that, like when my hand got raised, he shouted into the ring, and everyone looked over at the crowd, and that was it. It just stuck with me then. Yeah,
it's stuck with the name. Was it Bloodsport? Was it Bloodsport when Jean-Claude Van Damme was fighting Tom Poe and they started calling him Nuxokai? Obviously it was an abbreviation, but then that stuck and they just kept it, and everybody, the crowd, and got involved and sort of the same. You're going Big Bang. Well, it makes sense when they shout it,
Yeah.
I thought it might have been like you're into Big Bang Theory or something like that. I thought, could be anything.
I don't know. I just developed a little bit quicker than the rest, like with size wise and power. And even when I started, like I was even bashing pros, like it was pro nearly 10 years or wherever, and you so much experience, and I was hunting, knocking them out and sparring and stuff like that. And that was a 16 ounce on, so yeah, pretty much that's where I think Big Bang came from.
The clues in the name. Is it sort of like when obviously you've named Big Bang, obviously you're a big puncher. Like I remember watching your debut in Ulster Hall, 11th of October 2019, so we've been up 2 years obviously in that as well. But I remember obviously in your first pro fight, you were sort of, if they were given for effort for trying to stop someone, you had it all there, but it just wasn't coming. Was it sort of when you're a big puncher and you're going through your first 2 fights and you're not getting a stoppage one, does it play in your mind, or do you just know you just have to trust the process and you're not going to get everybody out of there?
No, to be honest, my style was just going as a fighting forward, like just keep going forward fighting. And even though the knockout never came, I wasn't really trying. Mm-hmm. If it was 6 rounds, I would have gotten him out. I would have stopped him anyways. But and now we can see with the rounds going up, it's a lot better for me. But I was fighting forward and not actually taking time and pace myself. So every shot he knew was going to be a power shot. Mm-hmm. So that was really it. Like, but now if we fought him now, it's probably stopping the 4th round. So yeah, like, that's the fighter I am now.
It's probably fair to say that you're more composed sort of now, and you'll go, I'll sort of stay at distance and wait for them to come in. And obviously then, and that's when you can do the most damage because they're walking into it rather than you coming into them. So you're giving yourself the space and you're ready for it.
That's it. And after those couple of fights, like I found my style when I moved out to London and being trained and sparred along the rounds and stuff like that. You just can't keep going forward fighting hard for, let's say, 8, 10, 12 rounds. If you are, you're gonna be like, you've got to have a good engine for that, So mm-hmm. So for me, it was more like, now I'm actually enjoying sparring. I love sparring all the time because I can see improvements every spar. And after each spar, like, it's always something that I'll always put myself up on. I say, right, I'll have to adapt to that. Next spar, I'll adapt to that. But something else might pop up then to have to adapt to that then. So it's just, just learn. It's all learning. You never stop learning boxing.
And obviously you've been able to share a ring with probably someone that sort of had it all as an amateur and is probably dared to be great probably too soon, sort of, in Josh Kelly. So you were able to share rounds with him a few months back. Do you find obviously the sparring? I've always found this interesting, that the fact that you go and spar someone and they'll tell you your weaknesses, which I find fascinating. They'll tell you obviously maybe any weakness you sort of had, and they go, say when you're throwing this, do this, and you're going, you're telling me how to beat you. It's boxing's a sport like no other, where there's so much help and support out there. Even when you're sparring somebody that could end up being a rival, they're telling you how to improve, so the next time you fight them, you can put them in their arse.
Yeah, well, this is it, like, but it's only it's you never really spar. That could be years down the line, and again that comes around, and you're developing on that already. You haven't developed something else then, so I think that's rare, very rare to happen. But yeah, right, it does happen though. It does happen. But the spar of Josh was a massive boost in the confidence for me. Like, when I got out of the ring, like, I was told by, I won't end, like, obviously it was on Twitter and stuff like that, but I was told that I'm a very special talent, and at the age now, I can read the ring just as good as any other pro who's in the 10, 12 year probably at the best, and for me, I won't be ego or anything about that. Like, that'll just keep me pushing on forward and keep driven and keep on improving each one.
And was that Adam Booth that was sort of giving you the comments on that, was it?
Yeah, it was Adam and Josh themselves. Yeah, we had a good chat and stuff like that, and it was unbelievable. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It's the wee things like that, probably, when you're away from home a lot of the time fighting and things like that, and you're a young child and stuff like that, young family. So things like that will probably help your confidence more in believing that what you're doing, going away from home for camp, it's worthwhile, because you're getting experience on the gap, and the conversations you're sort of having, you're going, now I realise why I'm doing it, because I'm being motivated more in the sport.
Exactly, yeah, that's it. And that's what it's all about as well. It's like, boxing has a lot of people are jealous of each other in boxing. That's just the sport, isn't it? And to have people like Adam to come up and say that to me, like, it's amazing. he at the top, he was trying the best of on stage, and he still is, like, as Mike Conlon, Josh, and a few others. But to have someone say that to me, like, it means everything.
You're sort of going to your back pocket, going, how much do you want, a $5 or a $10? Keep the comments coming.
Give him 20.
Give him 20. See if they give you any more. So obviously, training out the iBox and things like that. I believe you're back over in London now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm in London now at the minute. Yeah.
So obviously training over out in the iBox, there's obviously loads of talent and stuff there. I'm guessing probably in London, you probably more opportunities for really good spars, but then the opponent and stuff as well. So, like, it's obviously tough being away from home, but I'm guessing obviously we're probably seeing the best of what you can deliver. You're making sure you're putting yourself in an environment so that you can achieve the very best in what you want in the sport. Yeah,
like, even like the sparring over here, you just don't know who's going to walk through the door. Like, it could be anybody. Like, you never know, because everyone knows the iBox gym is famous for, like, Al Smith, Eddie Lamb, Paul Ted. They've been there for so long, and a lot of people walk in now the gym. So it's a popular gym. But when we were told to spar, like, my sparring days for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whatever, say, I walk in on a Monday, anyone can walk through the door. You don't know who it is, so it's good, and you're always on edge as well, looking forward to who will be having a top of the game, this and that. It's back home. It's kind of a bit hard to sparring, or else the sparring isn't great, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's getting the right sparring and different sparring partners rather than the same sort of person, because with one person you can only go so far, whereas different styles and different traits and different gyms.
That's it.
That's what you want.
That's it. And even back home, like, there's only a handful of Irish boxers, like, and over here, like, there's loads of people fly in from different countries just to come for sparring. So
just to be in the gym and stuff as well. And like, the gym's packed with talent. There was actually another guy from your gym, I can't remember his name, and I never read it down. There was a guy from your gym fighting Frank Warren card last week. He's moved 7-0 with 7 knockouts. Is he from your gym?
Mickey Book.
No, there's another one. I think he's moved. I'm not
Sam
sure.
Sam Noakes.
Sam Noakes, yeah. He moved
Yeah,
7-0,
Sam, yeah.
7 knockouts last week. So
Yeah.
it's another one that's obviously progressing. You've obviously Keevan in the gym with you there as well. So obviously another Irish connection. And I guess so many fighters around the same sort of record and level. You're only just going to keep bringing the best of each other, and who's going to next to be talked about out of the gym.
That's it. We're all prospects, and we're all hungry for success.
Definitely, it's sort of who's going to get the mantle of a belt first and go, I'm the king of the next crop, and sort of playing catch up. But success breeds success, so that's going to be very good for the gym as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that like, and even whoever gets a title first, like there's no king. Like we're all like, there's no rules in the gym. There's rules in the gym. We're all together. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. And that's the best thing about the iBox. We're all in it together, and we're all hungry, and we all help each other as much as we can.
Yeah, but definitely, and obviously being able to box 3 times during the pandemic as well. And obviously, I guess that shows MTK's colours in you as a fighter, and being able to get you out 3 times. There's probably a lot of boxers out there maybe only starting to lace the gloves up again to get a fight. So sort of things haven't changed for you in the pandemic where you've got regular fights and kept you going. You've obviously had great fights out of it as well on the back end of it.
Yeah, no, 1,000,000%. It's fantastic to be out and to be active in the pandemic, Like even I remember coming over here first and the pandemic hit straight away. I was like, so we had to go home before we cancelled. Thought we were going to be back out in a couple of months. It's been a long time, but I was out in a couple of months, so that wasn't too bad.
Yep, and like your last fight there, I know it was initially supposed to be in Dubai, and then obviously with everything with Dubai, pushback, it was pushed back and pushed back, and like your opponent Jan Marsalek, anybody sort of looked at who he was in the lead up to the fight. You knew the fight was littered with danger as well. You knew he could punch and everything else, but it shows probably the caliber of a fighter and the trust you have from your trainers that you were able to get that test.
Yeah, I suppose. It was a lot of people. There was well, I got a lot of texts already saying that tough fight, this and that, and I was just like, oh, you never text back or that like that. I was just like, yeah, it's a very tough fight, blah blah. Kind of building the fight up to people like, but I knew quite well that no one had the capability of beating me, and I knew quite well that he didn't. Even though he was a dangerous puncher with shots, he caught me with a few shots, and I was like, he's knocking people down with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been in with people who hit really, really hard, and I knew for a fact that he's not going to hit harder than them, So even though he had 8 ounce on, I'm not 16 ounce sparred, but it's like I knew what I was going to bring to the table, and that's all that mattered. I even told everyone before the fight, like I visualised the fight and exactly the way it happened, and I told everyone I'm knocking out my left hook, and that's exactly what happened.
And like even when you watch it back, like I don't even think you didn't hit him as hard as you probably could have done, but he hit him in the right spot, and that was it.
Yeah, I was just timed the perfect. I was just enjoying it. That was it. I was just set him up, and he walked straight onto it, and that was lights out for him.
And like I must say, the credit to you yourself. Obviously, you see sometimes when a fighter goes down and the way they go down, that people's running about the ring celebrating. You're obviously the model pro and standing in the corner and being respectful. But like anybody sort of watching them and they see a fighter go face down, they obviously fear the worst. Obviously as you as a fighter, the very first thing that's in your head is going, I don't care about the stoppage, anything else. It's just making sure that the opponent's okay.
Yeah, well, kind of. I was just showing me respect. I'm not jumping around, because if back home his family members are looking at that and seeing him on the ground, it's a very horrible thing to see. So I just stayed calm in the corner. I knew the fight was over. I done what I had to do. The job is done. So I just went and showed me respects. That was it. It was just ain't no difference, Ain't no difference. It's the win for me.
And it probably helps your profile in sort of way as well. When obviously you're given a good task and you stop it by a devastating fashion, it sort of brings more fans to the table and going, who's this guy? you're probably your Instagram and your Twitter and stuff like that. You're getting followers coming. You're going. So that's how we get them by knockouts. So just keep lining them up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I got a couple of hundred followers as well. So it was great. Got a lot of texts and stuff like that. But really, I looked back at multiple times. Yeah, it was a lovely shot. It was cracking.
Have it and repeat. So obviously now that you're back in the gym, I'm guessing you're obviously hoping to be back out in action again soon.
Yeah, I'm hoping to have some dates soon by the end of the week, please God. I'm due to go to Portugal next week, so we'll have to wait and see. So we'll see where we go from there. But for now, I'll come over to England just to get a few for a training session in, stay on top of things, meet people who I haven't seen since I've been in camp. So just spend a bit of time with people and and just a nice little shakeout. And good to see all the boys in the gym.
Definitely get back into it as well. And as sort of the next plan, will it sort of be a 6-rounder? Will you be looking to step up to 8 rounds? I know you're only 21, so you have no rush. But it's sort of to get a few more rounds, a few more fights at 6 rounds, and then maybe look up.
I haven't heard from any detail about fight of where it'll be a 6 or an 8, but I think it more so be an 8. And we just go from there then.
And would you like the obviously guessing title plan? I'm guessing you'd obviously like to win an Irish title.
Yeah, well, it comes by my way. If not, there's no stress really. We just keep on working and just keep getting the right fights at the right time. Keep building, and when those big fights come, we'll be ready for it.
Yeah, definitely. And like a weight class, then are you going to stay at super lightweight, or is maybe the eventual plan to come down to lightweight?
Super lightweight. If I was to get down to lightweight, I'd have to cut my 2 legs off.
You're cutting it that fine. I guess it's the margins sometimes. Obviously, a £5 difference in the weight classes, but it can make all the difference. Sometimes you could lose your punch, or you could lose your punch resistance. So it's sort of being smart and going, I'll stay around the weight I'm at.
Yeah, well, I'll be making 64 in the amateurs for the last 3-4 years, I think, when I was an amateur, and now I'm making 63.5, well, which is 64.4. And been making that good, feeling good, stronger, and refueling the right way out.
Definitely does. And I know obviously we've been conscious of time here as well, and you're going for your training session. Obviously we do everybody we sort of bring on the very first time as well. We know sponsors play such a massive part, and obviously getting to where you are even at this stage. Sponsorship's important. Like, you probably couldn't go training as you do in London without the sponsorship. So obviously, if there's any sponsors you want to thank, and if you have any room for sponsors and stuff like that, if you want to let them know how you can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I just want to thank all the sponsors who were sponsored from last week. So many to mention, but there's one that always stands out and helps so much is Emirates Electrical. Without sponsors, it's very, very hard. It's very tough, and to be you could walk and box, but you're never going to be 100% committed to boxing. If you go to a day's walk from home and you have to go train, then do you really want to go train? It's so easy just to pull back. It's hard for me to say that because I know with me.
Oh, I think I lost you a wee second.
Yeah, you got a phone call, sorry. But it just goes to show, I have so much discipline, so it'd be hard for me to get my perspective of it, but the majority of people wouldn't go train, and I don't know whether they would go train or not because you'd be so tired. But for me, it's very tough, especially being in London as well, being away with family and making sure everything's okay back home, financial wise and stuff. It's hard, but you just have to keep thinking of the bigger picture and keep working, and that'll give you that extra drive and training when you need it.
Definitely will. But Piers, obviously, I think we've finished bang on time. You sort of told us you had to leave at 10:04. With 10:04, we're bang on the limit. Obviously, I want to thank you for coming on and having a chat with us. I've probably been trying to plan it for a while to sort of get you on and just never had the right sort of time. But thanks. Obviously, we've finally got you on. We'll obviously look forward to getting some fight news, and hopefully we'll get to catch up with you again soon.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Dave. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I'll be in touch.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.